Southern Stepdad here. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on what's causing all these mass events. I'm going to start with both types of media, which is social and mainstream, and I'm going to be starting with the mainstream because that is a bigger issue. The problem caused by mainstream media starts when political bias is seeping into the news reports. There's a lot of agencies on both sides. They don't always report all the facts and then insert personal opinions into the report. Then there are some who will report wrong information and not redact it, like the incident with the Covington kids, which some of these opinions or false information causes distrust between groups of people. There's also the issue of over-reporting on certain mass events, issues, like they continuously bring it up again and again and again. Then there's hardly any reports of self-defense in some of these media groups, unless it is questionable, like the Kyle Rittenhouse event. And there's hardly any reports of how a state is stripping a gun owner of his right to carry, because he defended himself in his own entryway of his house. We now we know sorry we now come to social media. The same things that are done on mainstream media is pushed onto social media, like the news agencies bringing all their information there, and when they put something out, they don't say if it's opinion or not. Well, it's an opinion when it is an opinion, and it's worse here because there are groups that will try and have you banned for questioning what they put out, so there is no discourse. And when it comes to social media, there's actually have been suppression of actual facts, and I'm going to say it: the Hunter Biden laptop, where it was true, but social media just swept it under the rug. Then there are other groups that are glorifying bad behavior on these platforms. I mean, you've got you had groups for Antifa, which was mostly always ended up getting to the point where it got violent. Their events usually ended up in violence against another group that had gotten a right to do their protest. I also don't know how many times I have heard of people being doxxed on some, or even some being swatted. There has been someone who has been killed because of that, and one of the YouTubers I've followed, the Quartering, had been swatted multiple times. Next, we come to is bullying in schools, which seem to have gotten the schools have gone away from the zero tolerance from what I have been seeing. I've had kids come home with stories of kids choking other kids, the kid shoving another in front of a teacher, and the teacher does nothing. Then there is also faculty that end up bullying students as well. And an example I've come across is a teacher saying they got shoulder checked by a student, which, from the student's perspective, was just their bag brushing up against the teacher. When the student and then the student being yelled at by the principal over this incident, which makes the student not want to go to school. We need to go back to zero tolerance in schools when it comes to bullying. I remember when I was young, when they actually had zero tolerance, someone jumped me from behind after I kind of pushed him away from me because it felt like they were going to hit me in an inappropriate place. We both got punished. Now, I know bullying does not stop once school is over. The bullying can continue at playgrounds or even at the victim's home and even on social media. And I think when it comes to social media, there need, well, both of these incidents, there needs to be consequences. Social media platforms should ban bullies for periods of time when the victim provides evidence of the bullying. That way, the bullies can't abuse the system and victimize the victim even more. And trust me, bullies will find a way to abuse systems if there is no guardrails. And that is I am going to admit that is a swipe at red flag laws because there is no due process when it comes to a lot of the red flags laws. Now, when it comes to the physical aspect, the police should be allowed to be involved in these because if it's because there's a chance there's a physical altercation. In the instance, though, that the bully, a cop gets involved due to the bullying, the officer takes the kid home and explains to the parents why the kid is being brought home. And it also helps make sure the child isn't being abused at home because sometimes when a child is abused at home, they take it out on fellow students. And then that leads into positive role models in the home. Well, and that means like the positive father role model and a positive mother role model. And I'm not using these two terms to with gender roles in them. However, there are some single parents that can do both roles, but it does get hard. I mean, if like say you do not have a positive father figure because they either walked out or they passed away due to something, if you have a grandparent that is in your life a lot, they can be a positive role model. And I should just say it gender wise that either parent are gone due to something, but you shouldn't be thinking a rapper gang as a positive role model because let's face it, they talk about a lot of things that are not positive for kids to be behaving as. But in the aspect, kids need caring parents. I mean, one can be rough and one can be caring, and it doesn't have to be assigned to a male or female. And there has come times when I've had to be the caring one, even though I spent 18 years in the army and I can be rough. But your positive role models shouldn't be based off of their popularity. It should be based off of how much they take care of the child as a person as they grow up. And I understand when one spouse loses another, it does take an emotional toll. And that's why you should also, in those instances, if you need a brother or sisters or your parents' help raising your child, then take it because it's something you're going to need. And that's a lot of things I say is if you are having a mental health crisis, you do need to seek help. I know I have had mental health crises myself, and I have not professional help, but I went and talked to someone because I just needed that person there, someone to talk me down or calm me down, and it did not make me any less of a man. I actually got told by the individual that I talked to, which was actually my platoon sergeant at the time, that it showed him that I have the strength to seek help. And it makes me a stronger person knowing that when I need help, I will seek help rather than just bottle it up. And anyone who has is having an issue, if you cannot seek it from a family member, find a trusted person you seek, or I'm pretty sure there's a lot of YouTubers out here that will sit and listen to you and talk with you. I'd be one of them. I know I have a busy life, but I'm main if I feel like you need a little more help than what I can give, I would direct you to actually seeking a therapist or a psychiatrist, one of those two. And that's always what you should be doing is if you feel like you're about to break, find someone to talk to.